join us this evening. For those of you who aren't familiar with Annie Blooms, we are located at 7834 Southwest Capitol Highway in Portland, Oregon, in the heart of Multnomah Village. We've been around for a little over 40 years, and we are still plugging along now, despite everything that's going on. Our store is currently closed to browsing, but our website is always open. You can shop at annieblooms.com day and night. We offer curbside pickup, local delivery, and shipping, and that includes on the books for all of tonight's poets. We are delighted to be hosting three wonderful local poets this evening, Joann Boswell, Christopher Luna, and Rebecca Smolen. Joann will be reading from her new book, Cosmic Pockets. Christopher's latest collection is called Message from the Vessel in a Dream, and Rebecca will be reading from her 2018 collection, Womanhood and Other Scars, as well as her forthcoming collection, Excoriation, which is due out on December 1st. We would love for you to purchase all of these excellent books through Annie Blooms by clicking on that nice big purchase here link that's on the bottom of the screen. And we have signed copies, or we'll soon have signed copies of Christopher and Rebecca's books. And even if you have copies already, it's never too early to start shopping for friends and family for the holidays. Keep that in mind. All right, after the reading portion of the event, there will be a Q&A session. There is an Ask a Question button there at the bottom of the screen as well. Click on that and type in your question. I have the ability to invite people on screen to ask a question. So if you would like for me to do that, go ahead and put a little note in there saying, yeah, ask me on screen. Otherwise, I can just read your question for you. So no pressure to do that. You don't have to get dressed up and do hair and makeup and all that. All right, so I'm going to introduce Joann. In addition to being a poet, Joann Renee Boswell is also a natural light photographer. You can read more about her photography services at joannrenee.com. Joann grew up in Roseburg, Oregon. She got both her BA and MA in teaching from George Fox University. She now lives with her husband and 3 children, I believe it is, in Camas, Washington. She enjoys rainy days filled with coffee, books, hand-holding, moody music, and sci-fi shows, of course. Don't we all? Joann's new book, Cosmic Pockets, traces her personal journey out of evangelical Christianity and into an evolving understanding of faith, motherhood, and love. And there she is holding up that book. All right, so without further ado, here it is, Joann.
Hi, am I unmuted?
You are.
Oh, perfect.
Go for it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for being here. I'm so excited. I contacted Michael this spring before the pandemic, and we were going to read in the store. And I'm so grateful to Annie Blooms and Michael for setting this up for us. And all I had to do was show up. This is my new book, and it's got 142 full color photos that are almost all by me. And if they're not, they're marked, and 88 poems. And I have an eclectic mix of poems for you. Normally I try and go with a theme, but I think I was feeling a little bit whimsical today. So I'm just going to give you a really eclectic overview of my poems. And I'm just going to start in the deep end. This is my longest poem I'm going to read for you. It's called Humanized, and this is one of my form poems. If you can see it here, it's got a down and an across column. So the first column that goes down is called if, and then I read clear across through the then. It's called Humanized. If children are dying, parents toiling, abandoned all, seek refuge, knowing unwelcome, despised, treated less than earlier settlers, still safer, viewed as vultures, arriving sparrows, weary wanderers like so much snow, thrown topsy-turvy to wind's mercy, piling up along the base of the wall, beautiful, vulnerable, innocent. Then, children are butterflies, migrating, sleep, play, eat, thirst, dying to grow, learn, understand their worlds, their parents toiling for global improvement as they huddle, amassing, then abandon all former alliances claiming Christ. Seek refuge where God is a light present in stranger, knowing unwelcome policies are theologies embraced by the privileged who feel despised, treated poorly, normally, equally with outsiders who earn less than earlier generations who hugged hard work, physical field labor, settlers, still safer here than homelands where poverty and persecution were viewed as vultures necessary to escape. Forced displacement led them limping, arriving sparrows on this foreign soil. Revisionist history shows them as weary wanderers, pulling up on bootstraps, sheer solitary strength creating empires, like so much snow uphill barefoot without assistance. And now that stingy spirit will not be thrown topsy-turvy by some ungrateful upstarts. But I will give myself to wind's mercy, listening where voices are muzzled, cries stifled, piling up under impressive, trumped up combat boots, marching along the base of America first. I will sink my white fists below the foundations of the wall, pull my privileged palms, uprooting barriers to your existence. Beautiful children of Mother Earth, you are vulnerable, born as I was. By chance, I am here, and not innocent there, standing resilient. Climb on my back and scream. And Rebecca, it seems like your mic is unmuted. So I'm very delighted to hear your occurrences while I was reading. But just so you know, you're currently unmuted. So then jumping around, my second poem I wrote a couple of years ago. It'll probably be pretty obvious to you as I'm reading it when I wrote it, but let's just say it was when a Supreme Court justice was being sworn in, and it is called Fear. This is the photo that goes with it in the book. Fear. My daughter keeps dreaming that I am a volcano exploding lava and wasps, exploding our home, her siblings, and daddy. 1 minute I'm mama, making lunch, sorting laundry, braiding hair. The next I'm raging mayhem. She alone survives. Terrified, wakes, runs to me for midnight comfort, to feel that I am mama, spooned in my queen bed. I keep dreaming that it is safe to be us, existing braless and opinionated, enriching all who listen, seen as equals, unobjectified. 1 minute, a woman is president, making decisions, sorting emails, weaving peace. The next, sexual harassers are sworn in, life appointment of justice. Terrified, I wake from dish doing daydream, dry myself, seek daughters for real life comfort, to feel their existence, ooze hope into our embrace. The next one I'm going to read for you is a poem I wrote well before the pandemic, so it might feel a little bit out of place, but I think it's kind of funny in contrast to where we're at now. It's called Groceries. This is the photo that goes with it, and I wrote this about that experience of getting to go anywhere without small children hanging on me. Groceries. When I'm alone, I park on the end, pretend this lot is a beach. Birds, seagulls. Cigarette butts are seashells. I admire, but do not collect. Sachet just for myself. Hips relish open spaces. Freely swoop circles that no little bodies interrupt. I suckle the air for moisture. This drizzle, crystal sea mist, perforates pent-up stress. Eyes closed, I lift my face, baby bird the sky, worship holy discount grocery mart. I hear waves crash, cars whoosh past, electric doors whir welcome. Linger over every single sacred apple selection, while high ceilings fan personal space in galactic proportions. Certainly, the distant beeping of checkout is boats tugging the coastline, singing praise to fish below. The sirens lure from lofty speakers. Avert my eyes again. Continue suspension of disbelief. Imagine bliss. Never realized how much motherhood would feel like being a child testing boundaries. A teenager taking more than my share of chocolate, or wading several inches deeper than advised, or too long showering, letting steam flood the mirror, with the family waiting, waiting, waiting. I shop for groceries. This mini vacation, pivotal, combobulate my soul. The next poem, I had bookmarkers in here, but they fell out because I have this fan blowing because I was going to read on my deck, and the neighborhood children are riding bikes out there, which is wonderful. So I'm inside instead. And the next poem I'm going to read is called Steaming Mug of Ocean. And my family vacations every September at Pacific City. And so a couple of years ago, I wrote a poem. This is the photo that goes with it. Please note the little teeny tiny handle, if you can see it on one side of this particular haystack rock. And then this poem is written to be shaped like haystack rock in 3 parts. So this is called Steaming Mug of Ocean, Cape Kiwanda, Pacific City, Oregon. In the wee of morning, before pelicans and beachcombers arise from misty snores, God enters secret code, unlocking hidden hinged lid atop haystack number 2, the one with the handle. Scoop out yesterday's sludge, then gently squeeze snoozing whale, spray rinse monolithic mug interior, compulsively survey grounds for missing companion, duckbill hoodoo, tragically toppled 2 years back. Sigh. This routine brings anticipation, comfort, and satisfaction. Pause to delight in intricate scenery, splintered shells and rocks line high tide. Molted seagull feather flags mark yesterday's castles. Driftwood charcoal chunks dot last night's campfires. Demolished vehicle tracks leave inconspicuous ridges beached westerly of brewpub parking lot. Discarded sand toys, tent pegs, crab legs, crystallized dog poop, dune. Focus in, stimulus desired, before surfers descend, boards and suits seeking swells. Teams, seafoam cappuccino, blowing breezes past caverns, gray froth, crest tsunami size, crashing controlled into hollowed stout sea stack. Sprinkle, moonlit sand sparkles. She likes her ocean crunchy. Reach down, witnessed only by dawn's early fog. God grips, gulps. that was written specifically for my children who liked this image of the rock being a mug that was just the right size for God to drink from. And I'm going to read just one more from the book. This is called Orgasm, which is really funny because the word in the poem was supposed to be organism, and my phone, because I always write my poetry into my phone auto-corrected it to orgasm, and I thought that it just was perfect and that my phone knew better than me, so I kept it. Our atmosphere is an oxygen mask dangling over Earth, precarious mesh safety belt separating our ecosystem from oblivion. We are parasites along for the ride. We swarm tiny orgasms of doom, attempt to steer our magnificent vessel, succeed in slipping her sheer shell, flutter, ghost-like evaporation, gasp, vacuum, night sky, cosmos fill our lungs, puncture our ego ecology, siphon holy infinity, stardust on our souls. We waltz the universe, passengers, Milky Way's wrist corsage, seeking dance partners from other planets. We're kids at our parents' 14 billionth Big Bang reunion. Trace our histories back to single origin. Rewind, explode, redo. Air heavy with moisture. I am aquatic. I am alive. I will breathe. So that's all I'm going to read from here. And you can click on that lovely button and support Annie Blooms and buy that book. And now I'm going to read you two quick poems that are more recent before I introduce Christopher. The first one is called Exhalation, and I just thought it paired well with the last poem that I read. I wrote this recently. I live in Camas, Washington, but I drove into Portland, and it was the first time I've been there in a long time, and the nostalgia just really hit me for all of these memories. And I wrote this for my husband. Exhalation. Weight of beauty. Pink champagne skyscraper settles. My chest pressed. Exit for Burnside. Vision of 2000s. I swear this air holds memory. The crush of hope splits atoms, lodges in molecules. Linger like rose lure, drawing hilltop crowds. Each dusk we return, sink into cupcake squares, Mission Theater musk, a ram caught on 23rd between crepes and confession. I wish that near climax burden, the atmosphere, your lips, light as sunset. Remember this tension, pulled tight through each curve, looking for parking. Wonder Pioneer Square, breath so hungry, we see the proof. Our sky tethered with us, bridging this frozen exhalation, echoing momentary eternity. Our almost sighs, caught over Rosy City until the world explodes. And this last one is one of my many pandemic poems, but it's probably my most whimsical and my favorite. Casual caking. That's caking, C-A-K-I-N-G. We've taken to wetting the bed, licking the plates, marching for reform. We now pee in the garden, munching mint after. Yardless, our driveway is bistro by night, amusement park by day. At the store, whiz past the produce, hit up that clearance bakery rack. Between seafood and public restrooms, choose a $7 chocolate sheet. We're leaning in to casual caking, sing happy birthday to no one. Soon, it'll be Charlie Brown Thanksgiving feasts of popcorn and pretzels on the daily. Wizards of the now, magic eats us. Consuming and consumed, we are blowing cotton. See that toilet brush? If I leave it under my pillow, will the fairies come? What is tomorrow but a mirage of vaccines and school openings? We've taken to kicking the calendar, drinking from the pot, skinny dipping in the shower. If we go outside, sing about our shot, step over dog shit, are we throwing our anxiety away? Thank you all for listening. And next, I'm really excited to introduce Christopher Luna to you. Christopher runs, along with Tony Lombrezo Luna and now Morgan Page, run the Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic in Vancouver. And one of my friends introduced me to the community a couple of years ago. And I've been an active part of it since then. And I just really, really adore all of them. Christopher has a book that he's going to be reading from called A Message from, I'm going to get it wrong, A Message from the Vessel of the Dream, but without the I just remembered. I'm sorry. There's a quote by Dan Raphael that I want to read. How many Christopher Lunas are there? The bard, the community dynamo, the scholar, the compassionate one, the jazz quartet, the father and lover, the world of a man, all and more are speaking in this book. So many perspectives to experience here, so much to learn about literature, attitude, action, and beauty. The maestro of Ghost Town has created a bustling, radiant, and necessary environment.
Thank you, Joann. And that was a great reading. I'm going to do something I don't get to do very much these days, our remote days, and stand up while I do my thing. I want to say thank you to Joann for inviting me to help support her great book. Cosmic Pockets is an amazing book. I don't mind telling you that I blurbed it and proudly did that. And I work at Multnomah Art Center, which is just down the street from Annie Bloom's. I really miss it and look forward to being able to visit Annie Bloom's again and to be at readings at Annie Bloom's in person with all of you as soon as possible. So I'm going to start with some newer poems, and then I'm going to finish up with poems from the book. And these are kind of a suite of poems that have been written since the pandemic. The question of readiness. These are not easy times. Every illusion fractures as the context floats away, and one is faced with what remains. Deep fear, a lot of pain, the self, such as it is. It may have been some time since you were acquainted, or it may be the first time you've met. Do you like what you see? We won't soon forget the seasons we stayed inside to stay alive, alone, together, staring at screens with a desperate need for answers or good news, writing, sobbing, worrying, waiting for the nightmare to end, paying for the sins of the corrupt and the willfully ignorant. This piece is called, and it's some of the things I'm reading here at the beginning are from the National Poetry Writing Month, Poem a Day project that a lot of us participated in. The ghost of Charlie gets his race war, the White Album reconsidered. It might be prudent to look around at the devolution our violence has wrought. May be too late to stem the tide of blood, the reality-denying redcaps, which are the foot soldiers of capitalism's final solution. Benumbed by the swiftness with which fascism replaces democracy and equality. We wince at each day's litany of horrors, hoping someone else will do what needs to be done. Your president wants you dead. Infected, veins filled with disinfectant, starving, destitute, intubated, suffering. because you ignored the scientists in favor of the thug who daily destroys our democracy. Your president, not mine. This is called Skin Hunger Blues. The endless search for the perfect word, the precise choice, a sigil with the weight to convey the roiling hunger of this skin, the loneliness of the human heart, dying without the reassurance of a hand upon our flesh. Let there be words to open hearts and save nations, high energy constructs and sanity restoring sigils soaked with quantum quagmire killing wisdom, unimagined, unforeseen. Return to the wisdom of your childhood wonder in the service of a better life, a new path, a fresh take on survival. We are here not only to observe, but to participate. We all have a role to play, a purpose to serve in the time track. Character, part destiny, part experience, a lifetime of proving oneself worthy. Grace to be born and reborn again and again, evolving slowly but steadily as we stumble toward enlightenment. I'm going to take a sip of water. I'm coming to you from my office studio, and I will tell you that it's a good thing that it has a door, because the way I like to keep my office and studio, if there wasn't a door here, I might get kicked out. They might put me out on the street. Here's the book they'll be reading from, Message from the Vessel in a Dream, and Annie Blooms has copies of the book. Thank you to some of the people who are on this who already have it, and if you'd like to check it out, you can buy a copy from Annie Blooms. Please support your local independent bookstore. And I'm actually going to start this part of things with the first poem that's in the book. All beauty is at continuous war with God, Jack Spicer. You've got it all wrong. Whatever it is cannot be labeled, cornered, captured, or caged. Its power comes from the mystery. Its beauty, the direct result of its ineffability. Not knowing is the secret. Not needing to know is the key. Realizing that the answer is unattainable and ought to remain that way. You fuck things up when you try to place it in a box, erect palaces, build altars, put it on display for all the world to see, the glory in captivity. Not knowing can be painful, but it feels more honest. Rather be in the dark with hope than standing in the light, nothing left to learn. My disappointment is boundless. Your pretty words would be easier to swallow were they not so often followed by the gleeful slitting of your brother's throat. What, I ask you, has any of this to do with love? And this next poem is called Channel Z, circa 1989. You get some kind of a gold star or something if you know that song, Channel Z. Suddenly static in my own time, in your own time, beware, a tear can appear, a rip, a slash through the static in a moment, and suddenly, too suddenly, you are not wherever you are, but then again, and there may be no reason why, but there you are in the lavender shorts, the garment that stuck around, not wanting to miss a moment of this crisis, this chaos, this crisis of faith, this fundamental fissure in the unseen scripture you rarely regarded as worth your time. That time, static, that age, static in my attic, laughs in the darkened kitchen, and you did not then, and you do not now believe, do not believe, do not believe in anything but love. So now I'm going to read the last part of a 4-part poem. And this part of it is called Charmed Life. It's for Mel Favara and Greg Luna. And I feel like I should probably dedicate it to Dan Raphael also, because he's one of the people that really supported this poem. He likes it. Charmed Life. It is not easy to come to a definitive conclusion about fortune. Is everything predestined, or do we make our own luck? Can our desires be made manifest? Do we simply dress the chaos of our lives in the cloak of post-justification, or are we mages molding reality to our whim? slash through the net of habit-forming thoughts. Rock is all about guitar. Jazz guitar is lame because they always play clean, always play it safe, mint out soul. Santana isn't merely virtuosic. He is the vessel for a sound that comes from somewhere beyond him. The vibration of his guitar strings uplifts, sends the heart soaring, causes damaged cells to regenerate. Tone so sublime he must close his eyes, hold the note till it keens, till it leaps into the stratosphere. Satori, enlightenment in an instant. Nirvana, rapture, never satisfied. After fulfillment, begin again. This castle, made of sand, melts into the sea, eventually. My thoughts about luck become conflated with my thoughts about rock and roll because the music saved my ass. Everyone is a snob about the music they like and wonders why others waste their time on nonsense. This attitude is obnoxious and irrational, but unavoidable. On a good day, life-saving tunes arrive in the mail from the East Coast. My music angels come through again. The soundtrack unfolds. Music gonna make everything all right. Rock liberates, allows us to imagine ourselves as rebels, even when we are completely imprisoned. I gave her my heart, but she wanted my soul. Ganesh raises his axe to sever the bond of all attachments. I must sing again, or they will never know it was me who transcended this unpleasant turn of events. I get by with a little help from my friends. Amateur alchemist, remover of obstacles, lover, lifer, acolyte, wide-eyed, submissive, true believer, renunciate, pompatus of, jeepster for. I need some water after that one. And next, the title poem. Message from the Vessel in a Dream. Completely still, seemingly emotionless, yet blowing notes to charm succeeding ages, it matters little whether one studies flow or counterpoint, so long as eventually the instrument is raised to the lips. You make your appearance known through some creator. Neither Duke nor Train ever revealed the source, a wisdom too precious to put a name to, something not unlike the sound of the heart beating in the chest of your firstborn. Listen to the wind as interpreted. Remember how his hips' involuntary Poughkeepsie shimmy showed you how it was done. Never forget promises made in the quiet of the early morning, priorities set straight, a brick wall stared down till dawn. Experience cool breeze, adrenaline release, and never forget you learned to listen. Don't forget to breathe. So a fair amount of the poems in this book are what I call collage poems, and I use that to refer to poems where, all of the material or a majority of the material is found material. So this poem I'm about to read to you has things that I borrowed from Gerhard Richter, Jim Morrison, my brother Jay, my friend Laurie Loringer, and Roman Catholic Bishop David O'Connell. An assertion that tolerates no company. Firebringer, hold up! It's too early for your righteous fury, too soon to unfurl your karmic surprise. Reversals address displacement and linkage, the contradiction and the paradox, entirely transcended and totally transposed. Settle into a hypnotic river of sound, haunt and be haunted. Intuition is the fire, freight train, your Friday night nickname. Moments from a fatality, keeper of the secret heart of rivers proclaims, there's more good and there's more joy and there's more happiness in life than there is the opposite, and it will be back. I think you all know why I felt I needed to read that one tonight. Here's a poem called I Love Every Movement. So this is a little bit different from the last one I read in that it's a mix of things that I borrowed and things that I wrote myself. I love every movement. There's got to be more to this tradition of transmission than elitism and intellectual circle jerk. The tyranny of intentionality, visions of a glamorous hell with his bags full of havoc. like Bobby and Joni walking the festival grounds, cracking a bullwhip, superstars in our thinking. There's so much to cut through. It's a very complicated terrain where you swim, she drowns. Williams modeled brevity and precision. Duncan invited us to return to the field. Ginsberg recommended candor. Nikki reminded us to stand up. The whole impossibility of actually seeing something. The solid marrying the liquid, that curious lurking something. It's up to us to find their breath in the fog. To quietly float is a huge challenge. To get people to use their eyes and to get them to notice the things they don't pay attention to. Everybody does look. It's just a question of how hard. And I'm going to read one more poem, and then I will introduce Rebecca Smolen. It really makes me happy to have been asked to support Joann and Rebecca. These are really two of my favorite writers in the area, and as I mentioned in the chat, Joann's book is just great. I think that if you don't have it yet, you have to get a copy of it. So this is a very personal poem. I wrote it before I realized that I had sleep apnea, and so I'd fall asleep in the middle of the afternoon. So this was me looking after my children, my son and his friend at the park, and sort of slipping in and out of consciousness. And this is what I came up with. Since then, I've been treated. I'm doing much better, have a lot more energy, but I got a good poem out of the deal anyways. So thanks to Annie Blooms and thanks to Joann. And this is my last poem. Magic taken seriously. An invisible sigil passed on like a secret amulet, from a school teacher to a lion caged, yet keeping one eye fixed on the door. Worry not, their time is swiftly drawing to a close. The crow's gate is trailed by a lingering nimbus, the afterimage of a hypnagogic dream, deferred, let go, forgotten, like a mental grocery list left behind in a rusty old filing cabinet. There is a folder labeled wishes, filled to overflowing, frayed bits of ideas, fold out like withered petals, the rubber band that once held it all together, crusted, long since snapped, limp, collecting dust in an aluminum coffin. In need of a personal secretary or a French maid to dust out the static and the habit-forming poison of lies repeated often enough to begin to resemble truth. The collector paces in circles like Monk before the piano, unable to put a single film in the can, or part with the spiral notebooks containing conjugated verbs from Mr. Samperi's 7th grade Italian class. Cave wall, picnic table, province of those who find it difficult to believe that any of us are here at all. How arrogant to presume that it is possible to leave anything behind. This anxiety returns us to the first and last question. If all is connected, what is the nature of the thread? If energy never dies, but is transformed, from where or whom or what does the transmission originate? Furthermore, if you knew the answer, would it change anything? Would your dream be worth remembering? Would your cabinet be filled again? Would you be lucid enough to take control and begin anew? Thank you. Now I'm going to take my seat again so that I can introduce our next reader. So if you'll give me a moment to adjust. Thank you all for being here to support us and listening. The main way that you can support poets and artists is by showing up. And even if this is a different kind of showing up, it's great that you're all here. Rebecca Smolen is a Portland-based writer who grew up on a dead-end road in New Hampshire, exploring drainage pipes and pond life. She leads generative writing workshops using the gateless method and views writing as a form of healing. Her poems appear in Feminine Collective, Cirque, Tiny Seed, The Poeming Pigeon, and The Inflectionist Review. Her chapbook, Womanhood and Other Scars, published by the Poetry Box in 2018, and her full-length collection, Excoriation, is forthcoming this year. Please say hello to my friend, Rebecca Smolen.
Oh, thank you so much, Chris. That was fantastic. And your reading was amazing and powerful. Joe, yours just blows me away. Both of your books are amazing. Today I'm going to be reading from my chapbook first, and then I'll continue on to the full-length collection that will be coming out in December. I believe both links to the books, you can pre-order the full-length collection that is due out at the beginning of December by clicking down below. And then also supporting Annie Blooms. Thank you so much for having us. Annie Blooms was my first reading when my chapbook came out too. So this is truly an honor, and an honor to be with Joe and Christopher too. Thank you so much. The first poem is from my chapbook. It's called Ruling the Night. The full moon blossoms again tonight. Her petals unfurl all at once and she glows. She masterfully conducts the pull and flow of emotions, of poetry. Known also by sacred women familiar of her release, hardened by states of many. Animal instincts running deep, hidden among shadowed craters. It takes intense strength, unwavering love to sway such biased waves. Only the ones celebrating her passion realize it cannot be a man in the moon. Thank you. The next poem I will read is from the full-length collection titled Excoriation. Excoriation is a kind of a medical term that means wound, but not quite laceration. So not quite a slice, but more of a like a scratch or road burn kind of thing. It also describes a wound that has been healing, and it has that scar-like quality, the reddened skin. The first one I will read is called Child, Let's Listen to the Thunder. See how the gold green of dusk light seeps between new red rosebush leaves and leans against wet screen outside your open window. Among them, incarnadine pink buds, bruised, spent blooms, and thorns on the stems of the bush that will not hurt you tonight. The green-gray of your eyes, of those clouds, threaten summer lightning, but it's the thunder that frightens both of us most. Child, let us listen for it, learn from it. It is the thunder we feel quake our pulse out of rhythm, shake loose the cherry knot of our stomach, panics to contort neck muscles into tight rosebuds. Though the bass of its accusing voice roars, we shut our eyes to keep it out. Down the hall, it rumbles like stamping feet that we can feel vibrate through floorboards. We cover our ears to hope it keeps walking. Child, as thorns herald excoriation, thunder merely signifies a clash of intibidal air. It hijacks a breath held in your burgundy lungs, but my marooned heart beats strong enough for us both. And the next poem that I'll read was included last minute in my full-length collection that is due out in December. After Sean had gone back and forth about the cover art, she sent me something amazingly gorgeous, and it was so it still gives me goosebumps. And so I sent her this poem that I have written recently, and she loved it and put it in also, included it into the collection too. It is titled Pockmarked and Precious. My moon on a cycle around all of us. It is no coincidence that women are pulled into an orbit too, something beyond our understanding of gravity, of power and routine, in the building up and in the shedding. Do you know that man has named every crater on the moon? Perhaps something like the stories that go with each of my scars, ones we can see. I have one above another, each 6 inches long, between hip bones for each babe, stopping short of a butterfly tattoo with a rose in each wing. Scars up my legs, too many bug bites scratched raw as a kid, speckled around my falls and picked scabs. Fascinating how proud of each I am now, no longer bitter at the imperfections. From afar, no one can see those stories. Times I have invisible pain, and I think how clear it would be to have a scar to go with that feeling. The smell of a humid summer brings back emotional pain, sweaty frustration, anger with sadness and fear. Not many can understand when I say a scar would be easier. But the scent arises with nightfall, and sight of my full harvest moon, that scent comes with relief of the heat, chorus of peepers, and confidence of seeing constellations when I look up from the edge of a paved driveway, from a sharp edge of freedom, an edge of the rest of my life. That scent still haunts me on nights like these, when comets over Mountain View coax me out to an edge beyond my control, as if wound, threatened, scar, to remember the story. This next one is titled, Joy is Greater Than Pain of Scars. I envision the beast having feminine virtues to be able to endure such a woman-like wound, able to cease the bleeding, dry out, be titled healed, yet able to touch a scar, remember what had formed it, might not ever heal, really. And what is the beast that holds the grandest canyon scar, that gouge that is only ever conceptualized from above, ever truly fathomed when looking down at it, into it? What were these events that had dug out and dragged sand grain over and with others? Did it grasp the gravity of what it was opening, or had it only forged ahead? If this poor beast is womanlike, then perhaps it will not contemplate healing at all. Maybe it will view it as what it is able to devote, a great cost to greater reward. That what is seen is one side of a trauma scale when other hardships are present. A canyon still trickles water through. The deeper that sorrow carves into her being, the more joy she may contain, and also could direct an ocean away from consuming others, creating more destruction, more sorrow, scraping trench deeper. Will this pain see a time where pleasure fills it back up, unseen, smooth, and level? Or could that mere concept of identifying it hold that much joy and be enough for her to take pride in surviving such anguish? All right, I'm going to read just a few more recent work I've been working on. A lot of my recent writing has been mythology based, which has been really fun. This next one I'll read is titled Pandora as Housewife. The curtains are hung, one by one, slowly, and initially, you don't notice them. Do you go on pretending you don't see them? Pretend they don't limit your view or wants, don't stifle your voice, your breath, that they aren't shrinking in around you? Do you just accept it as your fate? This is what you've made for yourself. This is as much as you or anyone else ever wanted for you. Tend to those curtains then. Be sure not to let them get dusty or bleached in the sun that cannot come through or thinned with age. Do not look past them, whatever you do. Do you think this labyrinth ends and you will be rewarded? When you decide these curtains are wrong, that they are more blindfold than interior design, fight against them. Find the weakened seams and rip. You can't half-ass this now. Find all the power you've been neglecting. Unfold it. Shake it out. Put it around your neck, draped down your back. Wear it like a cape. If it's become too frail from time, from your denial, if it has been moth-eaten and dried out from your tearless mourning, crumple them into small heaps. Place each pile in the corners of your room, at the base of the thick, musty curtains. Set them on fire. Let the red flames flare in your eyes. Watch the blue-gray plumes of smoke. They will be showing you how to escape. Contemplate how many nights you've fallen asleep in a heap, needing to be something more, or even begging to be something less. This next one is a really silly one, and I really enjoy it. It's called Big Bang Theory. And just like that, atoms congregated together to form protozoa and time. Those one-celled organisms had daily meetings for tea. They discussed when they should begin Darwinism, the Mona Lisa, the Rolling Stones, and the importance of teddy bears and grief. They had bonding events like bowling with pizza, contests of which ones could sprout legs and genitalia first. Of course, with each of those came its own set of obstacles, and the ones with legs just walked away. The ones that formed cilia instead showed us all how much fun spinning is. This immediately led to river dance, roller coasters, and the release of cortisol and adrenaline. Emotions then came shooting faster than the protozoa could name, so they gave up, joked they would leave the rest for God, and moved on to more entertaining innovations, such as butt cheeks and eyes to enjoy them. Designing noses was the decision made in haste, and they never fully appreciated their roses, fresh cut grass, or the strike of matches. After forming tongues, they became too distracted with sugar, cheese, and kissing. The ones that formed genitalia never made it back to another scheduled meeting. And I will end this with a poem, a recent poem titled Rewilding. Thank you all again for being here. It really means a lot, even though we can't see or touch each other, but it is a lot just to be here together. Rewilding. The thought of the trees dropping leaves in gift is such sweet sentiment. Most grieve at such an action as losing their leaves, a beautiful sadness. What if it's less about us, though, more about them reaching out? That they feel a magnetism, an unexplained similarity, that connection only poets write about. Their arms branching sunward, the immense pole that grows limbs and fruit. Last resort attempt at a touch that they sense they need. Trees drop leaves like love notes or crumbs on a trail back home. Would that mean the trails that are years deep in such leaves might hold a secret? If we notice ourselves noticing them, is it a call to us? Should we follow that stranger's invitation that feels familiar? Someone has found that trees can sing, have a heartbeat, reroute sustenance to other trees needing in their community, that they have a community like roots holding hands. Perhaps they grieve for us and reach out only in attempt to comfort, knowing all that we've spent, all that we risk, that we've lost to be human. Thank you so much. It was great being here and being with all of you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Let's all see if we can get you all up on screen now. And if people have questions, hit that Ask a Question button down there. And if you want to be up on the screen, go ahead and let us know that.
I just want to take a second to applaud both of you.
Yeah,
One of the things that's
so
weird
great.
and hard about these kinds of readings is we don't get to hear the applause, but I could feel it. I could feel it coming from everybody out there.
Not applause.
And I was sending lots of love to both of you as you were doing your thing. You were both amazing.
Thank you.
You as well.
You too.
Thank you.
Yeah, really great. Questions, anyone, for our wonderful poets? Doesn't have to be questions.
You too can play Stump the Poet.
Claus is also one of those.
I want to ask Rebecca a question while we're waiting for other questions.
Oh, yeah.
Rebecca, is there a theme to the new book that's coming out, that or would you say it's got various themes?
They all kind of correlate toward some kind of wound, scar, or unseen pain or scar. Definitely.
Okay, I can't wait.
Thank you.
Sometimes people don't have questions when readings are over.
Sometimes
Maybe
they don't.
we covered everything. There's nothing else to be said.
We have a question.
Oh, great.
For all the poets, when did you start writing poetry, or what drew you to the form? That is from Bethany Lee.
Okay. Let's answer in order. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So I started probably formally writing poetry in college, but I was always journaling. Part of my conservative Christian upbringing involved a lot of reading and writing, and then it shifted away from devotional into more personal as I changed and progressed. So yeah, I wrote in college and for a few years, and then I took a 7-year hiatus when I got married and was teaching and having babies, and I started writing again when my youngest turned 1 about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. I've been writing since I was 11, and then in my mid-20s, I read Allen Ginsberg's collected poems and Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass, and then I felt like it was like the path was sort of chosen for me, or I felt like poetry grabbed me by the lapels and pulled me into the future that finds me here talking to all of you. And yeah, so that's where it really started for me. Was once I read those 2 books, there was no question that poetry was going to be an important part of my life.
Mm-hmm. I also started writing poetry at the age of 11, and off and on until about 8th grade, and then I got serious about it, and I almost didn't graduate from high school, and the only thing that I thought I was good at, or that I knew that I was good at, was poetry. So I was accepted to college and continued my education in creative writing. And also took a break when I had my first child, and then slowly got back into it when I could take breaths.
Yeah. Let's hear it for the moms who write. I know that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyone else have anything? Good question. Much clapping. That's nice.
I have to say that I couldn't see the chat bar at all until partway through Christopher's reading. And it was the first time I've read like this where I couldn't see anybody and I wasn't getting any sort of feedback at all. But I have a lot of theater training, so I know you just go and you just have faith that they're with you. And it was really delightful to see the chat bar pop up and see all of your wonderful comments, and thank you so much.
They were with you, definitely.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. Nice to hear what people are thinking, get all that encouragement. It really helps.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right, well, if there aren't any other questions, or you guys don't have questions for each other or any other comments, then why don't we go ahead and call it an evening. It's great. Thank you all so much for reading and for promoting Annie Blooms. That was very nice of you to do that, and we're very happy to have you. It was just such a wonderful reading. And thanks to everyone who came and watched and listened. And yes, you can still buy the books later at annieblooms.com. You can come back and watch this again at our podcast website. Rebecca will blow you more kisses down. All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, everybody. It was great fun. Love you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Love to you all.